It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Kruse.
I love crappie fishing. When it's good, it's really good. And on light tackle, they put up a pretty good fight. Oh, and cooked right, crappie tastes plenty fine as well. My biggest crappie? Well, I measured about 15.5 inches and weighed just over 1.5 pounds. That's a pretty good crappie, no matter where you live, but it's no comparison to the new record caught in Tennessee. From the Tennessean, we learn a 5-pound, 7.68-ounce black crappie was caught in a pond in Philadelphia, Tennessee by Lionel Jam Ferguson, which eclipsed the previous 5-pound record caught on a private lake in Missouri 12 years ago. Asked for comment, Ferguson replied, "Prayers go up and blessings come down." They do indeed, Jam. They do indeed. Congratulations on a record crappie, and I hope the blessings keep coming your way. This week on the show, it is Memorial Day weekend, and it's a time to honor those who have served our country and gave their all in the process. It's also a good time to highlight groups working with veterans who have suffered either physical or mental wounds during their service. One proven therapy that helps is a healthy dose of nature, and Project Healing Waters is a nationwide group that uses fly fishing as a mean to get these men and women outdoors on the water and into a better place. We'll be talking with a special guest from Project Healing Waters in just a few seconds who's going to tell you more about what their group does. Memorial Day weekend is also a great time to hit the road, and millions of Americans are doing just that in RVs. If you've never driven an RV, though, before, it can be a little intimidating. Fortunately, we've got Dave Simmons, the CEO of Mighway, here to give you some first-timer RV tips. Dave will also tell you about Mighway, a unique RV rental company that's kind of like an RV Air BnB service. There's a new podcast to tell you about, and it's all about deer and deer hunting. It's called Talking Mule Deer. It's being put out by the Mule Deer Foundation, and we'll get a chance to chat with the two hosts, Jodi Stemler and Steve Belinda, who will tell you more about what they're sharing on the air. On the fishing front, we'll get a chance to chat with legendary walleye fishing guide Ed Iman. He fishes the Columbia River near the Dalles in Oregon State, and this can be a tough time of year to fish for walleye. I'll tell you why. It's because you have to battle the wind during the spring months, and the rivers like the Columbia and the Snake and the Missouri, and oh yes, even the lakes like the Great Lakes, they are flowing heavy with spring runoff, and that colors them up, and it can be really tough. But fortunately, Ed has got some ideas that will help get you in some tasty marble eyes no matter what the conditions. Finally, we've got an outdoors news story for you about a disturbing mountain lion attack on two mountain bikers in Washington State last Saturday that left one bicyclist dead and the other seriously injured. What's just as disturbing are some of the posts quote-unquote animal lovers and anti-hunters left on our America Outdoors Radio Facebook page after we shared this breaking news story. We're going to share some of those special posts with you today, and after we do, I think you'll see just how uncaring and how rude and how insensitive some of these people who pride themselves on being progressive, on being animal lovers, well, you'll see what kind of people they are. Next up, we are talking to the president and CEO of Project Healing Waters, Todd DeGrossier, coming at us from Washington, D.C. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate being on here, John.
I thought it was appropriate to have you on during Memorial Day weekend. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your really big organization, Project Healing Waters?
So we are a nationwide nonprofit organization. We currently have 222 programs nationwide. We have split the United States into 23 regions. That includes all of the states. We operate programs in those states. And we offer fly fishing programs to disabled veterans and wounded, ill, and injured active duty military personnel.
So, Todd, fly fishing as a means of therapy, how does that work?
I kind of thought about that as well. I started off in the organization as a participant myself. I'm a disabled veteran. I was wounded in Iraq. My doctor actually recommended it as physical therapy. I fly fished as a kid, so I already knew how. I never really thought about the therapeutic benefits of it. But if you sit back and think about fly fishing, it's a really mindful activity. You're outside in nature, beautiful surroundings, and you only go fishing with people that you like. So you kind of hanging around with people that have similar ideas about life and everything as you do. So it's fun and it's relaxing. The mindful activity is really helpful with injuries like traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress. So we take that aspect of fly fishing and combine it into a program. And our programs meet on a regular basis, so we don't just do trips. They meet on a regular basis, and we partner with a fly fishing organization in the community, as well as the local Veterans Administration facility. And we offer four activities in our fly fishing programs. We offer fly tying, fly rod building, fly fishing education, and then outings. And all of those come together to provide a place where disabled veterans and wounded, ill, and injured active duty can come together and share some fellowship, some friendship. They'll get mentoring from the volunteers and some help with whatever injury or issue that they might be struggling with. And it really becomes about the team and knowing that there's someone there that really cares about you in the program.
Well, Todd, if the size of the organization is any indication, you're doing a lot of good out there across the nation. Let's talk about a little bit more about some of the events that happen at the local chapter level. One of them I always hear about is the two-fly competition. Not every chapter puts this on, but several do. What's this all about?
So we do a two-fly competition here in Virginia once a year as a national competition. And several of our programs have adopted that as a local competition as well. So we bring in participants from around the country, and they're allowed to select two flies. And those are the only two flies that they can fish with that day. And then at the end of the day, we add up the totals. So the largest fish, obviously, and the smallest fish is a prize. But the competition is about the total inches and fish that you get. And each tournament runs a little differently, but you're able to catch a certain number of fish, and that total length is determines who the champion is.
All right. Well, Todd, we have to go. But before we do, if we have some disabled veterans listening today or active duty soldiers that have been injured or family members or friends of these people, what's the website we send them to?
It's projecthealingwaters.org. You can click on the programs and click down to local programs and just click on the state that you live in. We have a map there, and it'll bring up the programs that are in your state. Just contact the regional coordinator through email or the program lead through the email that's listed there, and they'll get back to you and let you know when and where they meet. And we're happy to have you, any disabled veterans or any wounded, ill, or active duty military. We'd love to have you join our programs.
That's projecthealingwaters.org. Todd, thank you for your service both to our country and to our country through this organization.
Well, thank you, John. Thanks for having us on your show.
Two things we forgot to mention as we end our conversation. Number one, this is all free for veterans and soldiers. Doesn't cost a thing to participate. And number two, Project Healing Waters is looking for volunteers. And no, you don't even have to be a fly fishing expert to help out or even a fly fisherman at all. If you have a heart to help our veterans, go to projecthealingwaters.org. I'd like to welcome a new sponsor to our show. It's Sportsman's Cove Lodge, and many anglers who have been there will tell you it really is Alaska's best lodge. Sportsman's Cove Lodge sits on a salmon highway full of kings and silvers. There's halibut too, and there are some really big ones. Finally, with decades of experience taking care of customers, Sportsman's Cove Lodge knows how to treat you right from start to finish. Ready to book your trip of a lifetime? Then call Sportsman's Cove Lodge at 800-962-7889. That's 800-962-7889. 800-962-7889 for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Are you looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here for you. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer affordable platforms to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting John Kruse through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. Hurry, though. If you wait too long, the big opportunity might just get away. AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
If you consider yourself a hardcore fisherman who takes pride in being the first person on the water and the last one off, Fish Fighter products are designed and built for you right here in the USA. Fish Fighter products are used by the top fishing guides in the Northwest because they know having the right equipment is imperative to a successful fishing trip. With our Relentless Series tackle trays, rocket launcher rod racks, and breakaway river anchors, Fish Fighter products makes the gear you can count on. Find out more at fishfighterproducts.com.
There's a place where the fishing is year-round, where the sun shines 300 days a year. The wineries and breweries are right downtown. The hiking and cycling offer spectacular views you just don't get in the big cities. Fortunately, the place is real and vibrant. It's the Dalles, Oregon, just 90 short minutes from Portland, along the gorgeous Columbia River, where the adventures are limited only by your imagination. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse, and we've got two guests on board for our next segment. They are Jodi Stemler and Steve Belinda. They are the hosts of a new podcast being put out by the Mule Deer Foundation called Talkin' Mule Deer. Jodi, Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you, John. Great to talk to you again.
It is always great to talk to you, Steve. Jodi, I'm excited about having you on the air as well. And Jodi, we're going to start off with you. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about this podcast?
Sure. Got to give a lot of credit to Steve here. Steve came up with the idea of doing a Mule Deer Foundation podcast to tell the story about the Mule Deer Foundation. We also work with a whole bunch of celebrities and outdoor personalities, as well as some outstanding biologists and wildlife managers and land managers that can help to talk through, basic fun stuff like hunting in the outdoors, spending time in the outdoors, as well as talking about important conservation things that the Mule Deer Foundation is involved with, and also get the organizational message out about who they are and why it's important, and any kind of cutting-edge issues that are coming up regarding mule deer or sagebrush habitat.
When it comes to talking mule deer, how often is this podcast produced? And you and Steve don't live in the same parts of the country, so how do you manage to host this show together?
Yeah, so we launched the Talkin' Mule Deer podcast on April 23rd. We had a series of really some great, we needed to set the stage, so we interviewed Miles Moretti, who is the president and CEO of Mule Deer Foundation, and then we had a few others that were both timely and also fairly heavy hitters. And the first was, after Miles, was a Women of MDF, talking about it, ladies getting involved in hunting and conservation, and the Mule Deer Foundation has a very active series of things that they do with women, and the reason that was timely was because the Women of Utah chapter were hosting a big event the next week. And then we had an interview with Secretary of the Interior Ryan Zinke, and then the week after that we had one with Bass Pro founder and CEO Johnny Marr. So we had some really great ones to start. So we did our first series of them every week to try to start to kind of build affinity and connection and have people hear it, see what we have going on. And then we're going to be launching them probably every other week for the remainder of the year. And the logistics, we were able to tape a number of our initial interviews out at Western Hunting and Conservation Expo in Salt Lake City when we held that in February. So we had a lot of great people there. We were able to sit down with them and spend about a half an hour with them and do the interview. And now we've got them queued up and are going through the editing process, and we'll be releasing them over the course of the rest of the year. And then we're probably going to be using, like you're doing right here, some of the new technologies to be able to have Skype calls or things that we can do it where we're not face-to-face with the people we're interviewing. That being said, we definitely, Steve, I think you'll agree with this, those face-to-face where you're sitting and having a conversation around the table, that's where it's really fun because you can really talk to the individual like you're having a conversation rather than just kind of talking to them through a computer. So that's how we're going to work the most. We'll definitely pick up a bunch more at Hunt Expo this coming year as well and see how it grows.
Yeah, so we're opportunists, and there are a couple times during the year that Jodi and I and others are at events that we can reach out to folks that we want to get on, and we went ahead and did that. Now, as this grows and as we learn how to do this, we're going to try to make sure that we do our best to try to sit down with folks. So, for example, talking black-tailed deer, we want to be face-to-face with these folks, whether it's in Alaska or California, Oregon, Washington, because, their passion comes out in their talk when you're in person. And so it also gives us a better understanding and a better feel of really what the issues are. Ultimately, we want folks to be asking questions. We want them to be looking up issues we talk about, reaching out to these people we're talking about, going to the Mule Deer Foundation's website to learn more about this stuff, and ultimately engaging in mule deer and black-tailed deer conservation more throughout the year.
This sounds wonderful, and I've really enjoyed listening to the podcast I've heard so far, and I've got to congratulate you both for booking some wonderful guests. One question before we go. This is for you, Jodi. Do you actually always talk conservation, or is there going to be some nuts and bolts, here's how we hunt deer as well, that's going to enter the conversation?
We have a little bit of everything. Our goal was to focus kind of on three primary elements. The first was Mule Deer Foundation as an organization and understanding how it's working, perhaps talking about events that are coming up. That's one component we're trying to focus on. The second part is the conservation issues that are coming up, perhaps policy, things that people need to care about, habitat restoration efforts or things like that. The third element we definitely are going to start doing, and we do have some coming up on that, are a little bit more tips and tactics about hunting. We talked to the Heartland bow hunters out at Hunt Expo, and those guys are from back east and only started mule deer hunting for the first time maybe 5 years ago. I can't remember exactly what they said. They learned a lot about what it takes to mule deer hunt in the West. And so they had some really great insights for people who are not Western hunters right off the bat to understand about altitude, dealing with high elevation hunting, the weather changes. They thought they had good boots that they could hike in, and they ended up, tearing apart their feet because they really didn't have boots that were good for mountains. So they provided some really good insights that way. And we have some others as well. We'll have Jana Waller and Colorado Buck and a couple of others who have talked about their experiences in the field. So again, it really depends on who we get at our table. Some of them will be much more gritty. What do you do? How do you look for them? What do you learn? And then the rest will be touching on those other elements that we were trying to accomplish with this.
What we're doing right now, we're going through a process where we're looking at other topics and other issues that folks may want to hear about. And, we're going to be asking the public, hey, what do you want us to be hosting on this stuff? The women's stuff is great. I've worked with Jodi a long time, and she has really enlightened me on how the female gender looks at the same things I'm looking at, which is, we felt that was extremely important to have a female co-host and to really, not just be such male-dominated, but, and I think that'll play out as we get into gear, as we get into tactics, as we get into styles. I think we'll be able to talk about the different way men and women and children and elderly and others approach this stuff because it's all important.
All right. Well, we are out of time and we have to go. But folks, if you want to hear talking about mule deer, here's the website to go to. It's muledeer.org, muledeer.org. Very simple. Just go to the top of the page, look for the tab that's going to get you there. What is that tab exactly, Jodi?
Well, right now we have a direct link from our homepage. I don't see that going away anytime soon. I mean, it's a big green button on that muledeer.org page that says listen now. But if you do need to get to it through a tab, it's under the news tab at the top of the page. So muledeer.org is the main place to go, and you can find it one of two ways, either the green button, listen now, or under the news section, it has the MDF podcast there.
And we are also on Podbean, we're on iTunes, we're looking to get on Android and Google and try to hit most of the podcast platforms that are out there, and so you'll be able to find us that way too.
Well, lots of ways to listen to Talking Mule Deer, but your first stop ought to be muledeer.org. Just push the play button and enjoy some great conversations about mule deer and learn about the Mule Deer Foundation. Jodi, Steve, thanks for joining us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Are you looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here for you. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer affordable platforms to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting John Kruse through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. Hurry, though. If you wait too long, the big opportunity might just get away. AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. We collaborate with elected leaders to keep public lands in public hands. We're Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, with membership in all 50 states and Canada. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. It is Memorial Day weekend. A lot of folks are hitting the road, and they're doing so in motorhomes. They're doing so in camper vans. They're doing so in RVs and trailers, and they're hitting campgrounds and RV parks and public lands all over America. Now, maybe you own an RV and you don't use it much, or maybe you don't own an RV and you want to get into this. Well, you can consider renting one. There's lots of ways to do this, but I bet you've never heard of this way. It's an Air BnB style RV rental company. It's called Mighway. We're talking to the CEO of Mighway today, Dave Simmons, who's coming at us all the way from New Zealand. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, great to be here. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Dave, Mighway. You rent RVs, you do so in New Zealand, you do so here in the United States, but it's very different than most RV rental places. Why don't you go ahead and describe the differences to our listeners today?
Well, listen, John, Mighway is a peer-to-peer platform where guests can rent RVs directly from owners, much like Air BnB, I guess. So great opportunity if someone owns an RV and isn't using it quite as much as they thought they might do when they bought it, to earn a little bit of passive income from it. But then likewise, for people who want to rent and try out RVing, they have the opportunity to meet people who have owned RVs, share their experiences, and rent someone's personal RV and get out on the road.
Dave, this is a very exciting concept to me. I was poking around your website, and folks, you can do so too. It's at mighway.com. Basically, that's highway.com, but put an M there instead of a H, and you've got Mighway.com. And what you have here, again, this peer-to-peer rental, so much different than the typical rental where you go to one of the big companies in one of the select locations in a big city and you rent generally a Class C RV or you rent a camper van and you're paying out the nose for it too. This seems much more flexible. I saw everything from little camp trailers to Class B RVs to Class Cs to camper vans and trailers too. You pretty much had it all.
Yeah, that's right, John. It's really exciting for people who are wanting to experience RVing for the first time. Mighway makes it a lot more convenient. So as you say, if you try to rent through a big commercial rental operation, they'll have one location in a city, so you've got to drive across town. With Mighway, we have a lot more vehicles on the platform, so the chances of a vehicle being nearby and convenient is great. There's a wide range, so as I say, if you want to try a trailer or a fifth wheel or through to the big A classes, we've got a range of vehicles for you to try out, which is great fun. And typically it tends to be a little more affordable than, as you say, the commercial platforms, and a little more flexible in terms of terms and conditions. But having said that, a key thing to stress is that we don't take away any of the service or support. So we know that sometimes when people go out on the road in an RV for the first time, they can be a little apprehensive and they might want to ask people how to use their RV. We provide a 24/7 support line to provide that level of support, to be there to make sure that people have a great time when they take a Mighway van out on the road. So lots of flexibility, lots of pluses, but still with a deep level of support underneath it.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Dave Simmons, the CEO of Mighway, a peer-to-peer RV rental company that's here in the United States. Brand new company here in the States. Where exactly are you located? I mean, you've got locations East Coast, West Coast, and some places in between, don't you?
That's right, John. We're growing really rapidly. We started in California 12 months ago, and we grew a reasonable number of vehicles there, and we've gradually been expanding across the state. So we have vehicles in most destinations now. Sometimes it can be a little skinny in some places, but we're growing rapidly, and new owners are coming on every day. So keep coming back and looking at the platform, because you'll always see some new vehicles wherever you may be.
We've got a couple of questions about renting an RV here. So you go on the website, you take a look at all the choices near you, and you decide, maybe I want to rent a camper van or a trailer or a Class C RV or a Class B. You get a hold of that person. And one thing I know people are going to be concerned about, two things actually. Insurance is one of them. And do you vet these people that are, renting these RVs at all?
Yeah, listen, great question, John. So insurance, as you know, it's a really sticky point, and we wanted to make it as easy as possible for both the owner and the guest to be as fully protected as possible when they go out on the road. So to that end, Mighway's gone out and found a solution that meets the needs of both the owner and the guest, and we make that product available as you go through the booking flow. So you don't have to worry about getting a binder or making an amendment to your own insurance policy. We simply make it an easy day-to-day insurance that sits on top of your rental rate. So that's nice and easy. In terms of vetting, yes, when you're renting a vehicle as a guest, we check your driver's license, et cetera, to make sure you don't have lots of offenses on your license. And then likewise on the vehicle side, we talk with every owner that comes onto the platform. We review their vehicle before we then make it available on the platform to rent.
And something that was interesting to me as well when I was checking out some of the rentals on Mighway.com was the fact that these aren't necessarily brand new rentals. Some of them are a few years old, but they all look like they're in really great shape. I also noticed that the standard rental time appears to be 1 week. Is that a hard and fast rule?
No, listen, John, people can rent them for, there are some of our owners that are happy for people to take an RV out for a night. But what we tend to find is the average tends to be 7 days. But as I say, lots of vehicles available to be taken out for a weekend, which is a great way to get the first introduction into RVing.
Something else, one-way rentals. Is that an option with Mighway.com?
Oh, great question. Listen, we're one of the few booking platforms that supports one-way rentals. One of the things we haven't touched on is that Mighway is actually owned by two of the largest RV players in the marketplace. So Thor Industries, which is better known as being the parent company of the likes of Airstream and Jayco and Keystone, the largest manufacturer of RVs in the world, and Tourism Holdings, a New Zealand-based business that's actually the largest commercial rental operator in the world. And in the U.S., we own brands such as Almonte and Road Beer RV. So the combination of those two businesses has made Mighway a very, very powerful platform. But the reason I share that with you is that Mighway offers access to some of the commercial fleets that we have access to, which enables people to do one-way rentals. In fact, just yesterday, we confirmed a 45-day one-way rental from San Diego across to Florida, which sounds like a great rodeo. I'm very envious of the guys doing that. But yes, we can do one-way rentals on Mighway.
Last question for you, for our listeners who maybe have a nice travel trailer or a motorhome or a camper van, and they're thinking, I only use this 1 or 2 times a year. I want to get involved with Mighway and generate some income for myself. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, great question. So very simply, they go onto Mighway.com and look at the List a Vehicle platform. It takes the owner through the various options that they have between either doing it themselves or working with Mighway in a managed capacity. And then there's the ability to talk to one of our market development consultants who can answer any questions that you have. The great thing about making your vehicle available to rent via Mighway is that Mighway really understands the importance and the emotional attachment that people have to their RVs, and we respect that enormously and really do everything we can to make sure that the owner has a great experience as well as the guest having a great experience.
And speaking of the guest, folks, again, if you go to Mighway.com, again, it's just like highway, except put an M instead of an H at the beginning. You're going to find that it really spells out all the costs for you. When you click on that RV or trailer that you want to rent, it's going to give you the nightly rate. It's going to give you the total rate. It's going to have all the extra costs there. So it looks like there's really no surprises at all, is there?
Our whole goal is to be as transparent as possible. We don't want people to have surprises, John. Our whole kind of ambition is that people have just a wonderful experience with RVing and they want to come back and do that again. So we want to be upfront and transparent with people. We also want to make sure that they have the right insurance in place, the right roadside cover, because when things go wrong, you want to make sure you have that support in place. So we're very transparent and want to make sure people are well equipped before they head out on the road.
We've got to go, but as you make your plans for summer travel and want to try RVing, check out Mighway.com. Again, that's MIGH way.com, an Airbnb-style peer-to-peer platform for RV rentals. It's brand new here in the States. I have a feeling it's really going to take off. Dave, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks very much, John. Have a great weekend.
I'd like to welcome a new sponsor to our show. It's Sportsman's Cove Lodge, and many anglers who have been there will tell you it really is Alaska's best lodge. Sportsman's Cove Lodge sits on a salmon highway full of kings and silvers. There's halibut too, and there are some really big ones. Finally, with decades of experience taking care of customers, Sportsman's Cove Lodge knows how to treat you right from start to finish. Ready to book your trip of a lifetime? Then call Sportsman's Cove Lodge at 800-962-7889. That's 800-962-7889. 800-962-7889 for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Kruse through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
Want to put a smile on your face? Start off by putting a smile blade from Max Lure Company on your line. Max smile blades come in different sizes and spin at slow speeds, not like those metal blades on other lures. Buy them separately or on ready-made rigs like the wedding ring spinner, double whammy, walleye pop, and more. Smile blades work for trout, bass, walleye, as well as other species, and when that fish hits, you'll have a grin on your face that won't go away. The Smile Blade, only from Max Lure Company.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
A seafood bounty is waiting for you on Northwest Oregon's Tillamook coast. Catch a limit of big salmon, haul up a pot of delicious crab, and dig up a bunch of clams for some hot chowder. Plan your visit today at tillamookcoast.com.
If you consider yourself a hardcore fisherman who takes pride in being the first person on the water and the last one off, Fish Fighter products were designed for you. Fish Fighter products are used by the top fishing guides in the Northwest because they know having the right equipment is imperative to a successful fishing trip. With our Relentless Series tackle trays, rocket launcher rod racks, and breakaway river anchors, you'll spend more time chasing the fish, not your gear. Designed and built right here in the USA. Gear up at fishfighterproducts.com.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse, and this next portion of the show is brought to you by Fish Fighter Products out of Idaho. They sell accessories for your fishing boat. Accessories designed to make your time on the water more efficient and easier so you can spend more time fishing. You can buy direct at fishfighterproducts.com, or if you're in the Portland area, head down to Stevens Marine and check out the innovative products they have for you. Our main story today is the disturbing cougar attack of two mountain bikers in western Washington, just 45 minutes east of Seattle, that resulted in the death of one man and serious injuries for the other last Saturday. From Cairo News and the Spokesman Review, we can tell you the two 30-some-year-olds were bicycling on a forested trail near Snoqualmie when they saw a cougar chasing them. The two stopped, made lots of noise, and even smacked the aggressive cougar with a bicycle. Just what they were supposed to do. And the cougar disappeared. The two began congratulating themselves on getting through the incident unharmed when suddenly the cougar pounced on the 31-year-old survivor, Isaac Setterbaum, knocked him to the ground, and started violently shaking his head with his teeth and jaws. His friend, 32-year-old S.J. Brooks, broke out in a run and tried to get away. This triggered a predatory attack by the cougar, which proved to be fatal for S.J. Brooks. Fish and Wildlife officers responded to the scene and found the emaciated 100-pound male cougar standing over Brooks' dead body. The officers killed it shortly after that. An attack like this is incredibly rare. It's the first fatal cougar attack in Washington since 1924, and only the second time in the last 100 years, from what I can find through my research, that a cougar has attacked two people at one time, killing one or more of them. Around 25 people have been killed by cougars since 1890 in North America. There are two areas that stand out when it comes to most of the fatal cougar attacks. One of them is British Columbia, which has a very large population of mountain lions. In the U.S., the leading state for cougar fatalities is California, which banned cougar hunting in the early 1990s. That's part one of the story. Here's part two. And in some ways, this is just as disturbing. We broke this story on our America Outdoors Radio Facebook page the day it happened. Lots of people saw it. As a matter of fact, about 6,000 people saw this post and this story. But it's the replies to the post that I'm going to share with you now and that disturbed me. One person who clearly only saw the picture of the cougar without reading a thing beyond that posted, "How cute!" I'll give her credit, though. She did remove that post. Another poster, Gerald Lee Blount, apparently fancies himself as one tough hombre. In his words, "It would have to be an African lion to kill me. No puma is going to kill me. Only 150 pounds, 100 pounds. Okay, Gerald, why don't you head out into the woods, test that theory for our audience, and get back to us, okay?" The worst posts, though, were from a group I can only describe as misguided animal lovers. Matt Begley said, "Too bad for the cougar. It was just doing what cougars do where it's supposed to do it. This cat didn't come into town hunting people. Idiots on bicycles invaded its territory and were mistaken for prey. It's their fault, not the cat's." Worse still, 7 people immediately liked or loved Begley's comment. And then there's Winston Maples, who in his wisdom opined, humans are stupid and keep bikes out of the woods. Josh Michael wondered why this animal had to be put down. Are you kidding me? Really, Josh? Are you kidding me? But Michael Nolder's comment, this one takes the cake. He said, too bad the cougar had to pay for the stupidity of a couple of humans. How about we execute every human that shoots an endangered species? Now this comes from a person who says he works at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. It seems to me his higher education hasn't helped him much. And Michael, in case you're listening to our national show today, let me explain a couple of things. First off, cougars, they're not endangered in Washington. There's actually a hunting season for them, and there's about 2,000 of them roaming the Evergreen State. Also, hey, nice job getting your anti-hunting sentiment out there, but it was misfocused on a couple of guys who were just riding bicycles on a trail in the woods. So, to Michael Nolder at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse and to these other animal lovers and apparent human haters, all I can say to you is wow. You have a very skewed sense of both reality and nature, and you could all use a healthy dose of compassion towards your fellow man. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we are going to talk to one of the best-known walleye fishing guides in the nation. His name is Ed Iman. He fishes out of the Dalles in Oregon State. The water he likes to fish is the Columbia River, and he's been catching walleye out of there for, what, almost 40 years now, would that be?
Pretty close.
I don't care whether you're fishing the Columbia River or the Snake River or some of the big reservoirs or the Great Lakes. One thing you have to contend with this time of year is wind, and another thing you have to contend with, especially on rivers, is high water and off-color water. Why don't you give our listeners a few tips on how they can succeed in these challenging conditions?
Well, right off the bat, I'm going to give you a little tip on the wind. I'm not much of a computer guy, as most people know, but I was introduced to an app, and it's called Wind Finder, and you can program that for your area, and it will tell you how much the wind is going to blow, and actually it will narrow it down to almost by the hour breakdown as to what activity it's going to have, and it really makes a big difference.
And that's really good for planning purposes, too, in terms of time of day, in terms of when you're going to go, because the bottom line is this. If the wind's blowing, the fishing's tough. And that brings me to my next subject, high water, off-colored water. People are dealing with that all over America right now. What do you do to put the odds in your favor?
Well, first of all, you're really going to have to go and fish the pockets. We got the sidewater. You're going to have to find some place where there's a bend in the river and there's an area that is not getting the full velocity of the current. And that's a good thing because that's going to shove the fish over in to those pockets, and it's going to kind of congregate them in those areas. This time of year, I like to use things that have a lot of flash. You know, I like the Max Smiley blades. I like metal blades that have got a lot of sparkle and shine to them, you know. And we'll fish those in water, you know, anywhere from 10, 12 feet out to 35, 40 feet.
You know, that's interesting to me because if you talk to steelhead anglers or salmon anglers, when the water's off color, that's when they start tying on the chartreuse, that's when they tie on the orange, but you are sticking with the flash.
Well, color only works with light refraction, and under the good conditions on the Columbia River, at 12 feet you don't have a lot of light refraction with our natural algae and sediment that's in the river, you know, basically year round. So that's why I kind of go to the flash at this time of year, and yeah, color can make a difference, but basically, once you lose the light refraction, everything turns black. And the colors that last the longest with the deepest light refraction are the purples and the blues.
There's more than one way to catch a walleye, and there's a lot of ways to do it across our United States. You can jig for them, you can use blade baits, you can use bottom walkers and troll a spinning harness behind them. What do you like to do this time of year with this high water and this colored water?
Well, the fish are kind of scattered, so I want something that I can put a pattern on an area and cover some ground. Use a lot of bottom walkers, and we're using bottom walkers that will run 3-4 ounces, and we're using a 20-pound Izor braid, which is a very hard, very small diameter. That's smaller than 4-pound test mono. So we're getting down there really, really fast with that, not much line drag. And basically you're making a downstream presentation to them, because that's the most natural presentation you can have with fish, because they lay facing forward in the current and 99% of their food source comes to them downstream.
Well, we have got to go. But, folks, if you want to book a walleye fishing trip on the Columbia River bordering Oregon and Washington, Ed Iman is the guy to call. He's based in the Dalles, and the Dalles is a wonderful place to stay. They got plenty of hotels, great food, a booming brewery and wine district, lots of things to see and do in the Columbia River Gorge, too, which includes fishing. Ed, always a pleasure to get some walleye knowledge from you.
Well, thank you, Johnny, for stopping by, and hoping to see you around the 16th of September.
Once again, the clock is ticking and time's getting away from us. Before we go, though, if you're looking for other ways to listen to America Outdoors Radio, we've got a few for you. Number one, you can hear us online Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkamericaradio.us. It's the new voice of conservative talk radio, and you can hear us on demand. Our newest on-demand platform is Stitcher, a very popular one. You can also hear us through Podbean. Whether you use Stitcher or Podbean, just look for America Outdoors Radio. And don't forget to check our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com and follow us on Facebook at America Outdoors Radio. As you enjoy this long Memorial Day weekend, I hope you'll take some time to thank the families of those who have served and sacrificed on our behalf. I also hope you're blessed and that you'll have some fun too this weekend. After all, it is the start of the summer camping and vacation season, and nature is calling. Until we do this again next week, remember, it is your country and your outdoors.